How do you guys even manage your time energy? Hey, I've noticed something. Most people aren't by the demands of modern, scripted life. My mom, for example, struggles with 80-90-hour work weeks, barely gets 1 to 2 hours of sleep at night, and can't contribute around the house on weekends because she's too tired, and she and my dad end up passing out on the couch watching Netflix and sleeping all weekend because they're too tired to do anything. I'm no better, though. While I work a 40-hour week and go to the gym and groom myself every week, I spend my weekends mostly masturbating, pacing, watching the NFL, and playing basketball because I'm mentally exhausted by the demands of my work week. As well as having to take care of myself food-wise because my parents are too tired to do so. And I'm extremely lazy with regards to getting anything for myself. I also have a weakness in that it takes me extremely long to do basic tasks. For example, brushing and flossing my teeth takes 20 to 25 minutes, eating a meal can take me 30 to 45 minutes, and I spend 45 to 60 minutes per trip to the toilet pooping because I have mild constipation issues. Meanwhile, you guys can seemingly work 100 to 120 hours per week and get on just fine and still stay on top of everything else. Also, all three of us, my parents and I, are commuters in Toronto. Commutes like L.A. How do you do it? Do you guys have any time management tips, tricks, etc.? Any secret substances? Note that I don't have or make a lot of money right now, so I'd need a broke people's guide to getting as much time out of your day as you can. I don't think anybody can make it out of the rat race if they had to work this many hours for someone else. You have no time to do anything outside of work. The only option is to quit and start working less hours somewhere else. In my opinion, the max you should work for someone else is 56 hours per week or 8 hours per day. That gives you some time after work to figure something out. 80 to 90 is insane. You are automatically trapping yourself before you start your first day of work. I bet she probably feels like she has to work that hard because of all the bills, which I bet are way too high. Could be wrong. But I'm probably not wrong, because 80 hours per week at $10 an hour is $40,000 per year, not including your dad's pay. Sounds like they got a high standard of living and don't want to cut back. You, on the other hand, sound like you just need to get your act together. It's easy to judge you negatively for what you say you do with your time, and I'm not perfect by any means, but goddamn, brushing and flossing take 25 minutes and it takes you 60 minutes to take a shit. Dude, brushing and flossing take me 5 minutes probably. I've never actually timed it, and shitting should take 20 minutes tops if you're reading a book in the process. You just need to get some hustle. Get a fire under your ass. Sounds like you got nothing else to do, so you don't care how long it takes. Look man, you aren't giving any respect to your most valuable asset. Your time. More valuable than all the money in the world combined. Start using it more wisely. Go faster. It sounds like you have no ambition at the moment. If you know what the FCK you want, you'll find the time. I'm near Toronto if you want to chat or do some site visits for my business to see how it's done. Sounds like you are stuck in a rut. What excites you? Besides porn. Speaking of, if brushing your teeth takes 25 minutes, I can only guess at how long you watch porn. Bro, if this isn't a rhetorical question, things that excite me include playing basketball, playing football, going outside on a warm, sunny day in general, driving cars very fast, writing, meeting hot girls, meditating, lifting weights at the gym, martial arts, particularly heavy bag workouts, sprinting, talking to people that can actually help me get somewhere in life, hip-hop music, reliving happier days in my childhood or adolescence, imagining what my life would look like had I made better decisions, optimizing my life, meditating, and just taking time to chill out and do absolutely nothing. Problem is, the way my work schedule and salary works, I basically feel like I'm in survival mode all the time. If I'm not working, I feel like I'm recovering from or getting ready for work. I honestly haven't felt truly excited by anything since I took a month off to have fun after my university graduation, and I had to dig deep inside my memories to remember what excites me. Because I feel like I'm either working or trying to manage my responsibilities or trying to recover from or get ready for work, I can't remember the last time I did something just for the joy of it. And I can't really afford to spend time doing what really excites me on my salary with how expensive everything is, so I have to make it that anything I do that's not work is something I can do for free that's either at home or close to home. I always say to myself, I want to play, because I always feel like I'm working or trying to numb myself from work. I feel like I'm always on the go. And just when I think that life is about to get better for me, something always comes up, be it an injury, me getting sick, things around the house getting tough and me having to come through for my family, intensification of the low mood I generally feel, etc. It's like a curse that I have, I can never be truly free, and something will always happen to sabotage that. It's just the way my life works. I feel like I'm in survival mode with my life. At this point, I don't really care about anything else other than getting through each day and taking care of my basic needs. This brings up another question. How do you get out of survival mode mentally? Do you know what it's like to be in survival mode psychologically, and if so, do you have tips for me on how to get out of that? First, thanks for posting. It's a good step. I read your posts, and all I hear is I can't, because, I can't, because, I can't, because, what can you do? Write us a post and talk about what you can do. What you're willing to do. No matter how small. Can you spend 5 minutes a day making a list of every single thing you're grateful for? Will you? Can you spend 30 minutes listening, watching, or reading something inspirational? Will you? Can you spend 15 minutes a day making life easier for your parents? Can you jot down 3 problems you see each day that need solving? Etc. You get to choose what those actions are, but choose can and focus on that. There are no secrets. There are no tricks. Welcome to life. It's called, develop thyself and thee shall thrive. Start small and go from there. I say small, because you have so many limiting beliefs that your first task is to understand how to manage your mind. The above exercise will get you started. Sent from ISMG 920V using TaperTalk. Dude. Welcome to the adult world. This is how it is. You can't be a kid forever. Everything you said that excites you excites everyone else too, but they have to work and pay bills. Like adults. Sounds like you enjoyed the party life on someone else's dime. And now the party's over and you have to foot the bill and you're having a tough time transitioning. Damn dude. You have a curse? Your life is sabotaged. Get over yourself. Your mindset is ridiculous. You are the only one in your way. Stop taking hour-long shits and start getting some actual shit done. Maybe try to build a business that gives you the freedom you crave so much. Don't take this with malicious intent. It's going to be blunt but hopefully helpful. I don't know that you need time management skills, because other than going to your 40-hour job, you don't seem to have anything to manage. You haven't committed your mind to anything worth doing except shting. This is definitely worth doing. You don't have a direction. Ask yourself what you want. If it is wealth, love, freedom or anything else, define it, and define why you want it. Get a notebook, write it down. It will be the island that you keep your compass pointing toward. Start figuring out how you can get there. The journey to get there should excite you and replace basketball and NFL as your primary pastime. It's grown men playing catch and running from each other. Should that be more exciting than your own future? Use your old activities for brain breaks, not main attractions. Walking the path won't be painful, it will be an adventure, with many points to celebrate along the way. Find other people on a similar path, collaborate and use their successes to motivate you. Always remember, hour-long SHTS and masturbation did not get them there. Motivation is an up and down thing. The reason why won't work for you some of these days, but then someone on a similar path that you are watching has a success, and it puts a fire under you. Then that wears off, and one of your own efforts create a small success, and you get another fire. You find a quote from a person you look up to that lights the fire again, and the cycle continues, fire and rain, over and over until eventually, you look back and where you started is a long way off. And by now, your adjusted goal is bigger and further away, so your current success is the catalyst for another round of motivation toward that. Hope this helps. It's pretty much how it has worked for me anyway. Heed the quote in my signature, it should ring very hard with you. Well, I guess there's no way out. Give me your address and I'll send you a fleshlight. Might as well do what you like doing best. I remember when I worked 120 plus hours a week at Burger King, over 480 hours a month. I found time to have a girlfriend and go bike riding, which is what I really loved to do. And girlfriends take up a lot of time. Actually, I had 2 girlfriends, but don't tell anyone. Could I have easily rode my bicycle home 7 miles and went to sleep and did nothing else? Sure I coulda. I love to sleep. I was taking a 20-minute nap earlier and hit the snooze for another 9 minutes. You just got to say, now is the time, today, right this second. Don't wait any longer to get yourself going. Or, wait until tomorrow and then once tomorrow gets here, you can wait for tomorrow. Playing to win is not the same thing as playing to not lose. Different focus. You gotta find that work thing that excites you, that gives you purpose in your work life. It could be a cause, a market, a Rolex people who love to sell or coach or teach, or it could be a result business equity to hand to your kids. When you find that, the 14-16-hour days become much easier. In fact, I purposely have to ensure I make time for other things or to combine important people and activity into my business activity because I enjoy it so much. I'm going to take a little bit different approach here. Assuming you actually spend an hour on the toilet multiple times a day. That equals multiple hours of opportunity a day. We have the internet with us while we sit on the pot. Use that hour and watch a few YouTube videos on something business related. Then find a related one. Then another. Most YouTube videos are 15 to 30 minutes, so every time you poop you can watch 2 to 4 videos and learn something. I find some awesome ideas while sitting on the toilet or laying in bed at night when the house is quiet. I've currently got 6 other tabs open on my mobile browser and every one of them is business related. In the last 24 hours I've researched conversion rate optimization, Shopify product page optimization, best practices for AdWords campaigns, best way to set up Google Shopping, best way to set up Bing Shopping, and many more. So you know when I read every single one of those articles? While on the toilet or while laying in bed. In our modern society you could be bedridden and become a millionaire by simply researching and learning about things online. The question is, will you do it? You don't have to work 100 to 120 hours a week. Not even 40 hours. Just the bare minimum to meet your goals. I'll bet my ass that 95% of this forum doesn't do more than 20 hours of hard work a week. I don't think most of society does, even if they're sitting at work for 60 hours. Figure out what you want in life. It sounds like you want to relax and chill. Nothing wrong with that. Then figure out how much money you need to relax and chill. Then invest a lot of time upfront learning a skill set that will allow you to hit those monetary goals. Then just invest the bare minimum into that goal once you have the skills. Let's say you need $1,000 a week to live your lifestyle. Learn to program. Up your skills from $25 an hour to $100 an hour. Work 10 hours a week. Do whatever you want the rest of the time. The 4-Hour Work Week is a good book to shift your mindset. Wait till you have kids. You'll look back at now and wonder what you did with all that time. You'll also reread all the things that excite you and realize that they're all about yourself. So a couple of things: 1 We all have the same hours in the day and no one can speed up or slow down time. Time management is a myth. When you tell your mum you didn't have time to do something, you're really saying it wasn't important enough for you to do. It's all about prioritization. 2 You don't seem to have a strong enough why yet. Maybe go help some random folks and see if that gives you a buzz. Looking at your profile, you sound a lot like how I was a few years ago. I'll address your original question, and provide ways to fix it in order of how I've implemented it. 1. Figure out the minimum hash of hours needed to work to cover living expenses. 2. Get a job closer to where you live so you don't have to commute. Move out so your parents aren't a mental drain, and to reinvent yourself, do anything to get practice in business. 5. Figure out what activities give you energy. Do those when you're tired. This is roughly what I did between 18 to 20 before landing on a business that works. There's good advice in this thread, but something incredible happens when you do, and that hasn't been addressed, and I'll tell you why. I'd wager the reason you feel exhausted is I bet that feeling never existed 4 years ago, did it? You faced small defeat after small defeat, and eventually settled for your mediocre existence of working an entry-level position at the accounting firm, sucking at it, shitting for hours and being perpetually exhausted. Since we're talking about getting your end back, I'll tell you that was the best thing I've done to do so. You specifically mentioned that your parents were a mental drain. That they discourage your desire to become an entrepreneur. So was mine, and the first thing I noticed after moving was how much free time there was, because you have rid yourself of the and have of your existence. There's a lot of ways people rationalize this away, such as they're trying to do what's best for you. They're trying to protect you. They love you. The battle is won or lost in the mind, and if their presence is a mental hindrance to you regaining control of your life and making progress, then you need to grow up, break away, chart your own path. This is your only life. Next, you mentioned how you were incompetent at your job. Same here. Hated the job and the dysfunctional organization that came with it. There's something incredible that happens when you become an entrepreneur. Take ownership of your position. Why? Because name is on the line. The stakes are higher, and for that reason, I've had energy, time, and competency as an entrepreneur that I ever did as an employee, because what I do. I don't know what your current aspirations are, but if you're really interested in business, then do something that will get you closer to making your own money. There's a study cited in the conclusions being that the largest determining factor of happiness is having control over your own destiny. I'll add that since a large part of your time living will inevitably be working, a big part of that happiness will be correlated to your ability to make your own dough, or at least engaging in something you are competent. So, I don't know what it'll take for you to change. But don't be a disappointment to your younger self. Edit. Also, read. Don't be this guy. Be afraid to be this guy. Rep plus just goes to show that sometimes the best advice is from someone who's recently been in your position. Good point about observing what gives you energy and what doesn't. I've forgotten the importance of that. It's a good indicator of what to delegate, outsource, or avoid, and what to throw yourself into. I had to laugh about this. You're asking how we do it, get it all done. But this is how you spend your weekends. If you connect the dots a bit more, you can see how we do it. A lot of us are not spending our weekends watching the NFL, pacing, or masturbating. I can't speak for others on this forum, but I can tell you this. A lot of people working 100 to 120 hours per week are not getting on just fine in their life. A lot of them are not on top of everything. Those people that say they are more than likely telling a lie. If some are, they might be the one or two unicorns. The fact is, you think people are doing this 100 to 120 hours consistently and are just fine and on top of everything, but 95% of the time, this is not so. Excluding any mental issues like depression. 1. You need to plan your days or time or goals out. 2. You need to prioritize. 3. You're gonna have to sacrifice something. Lots of times, it's a lot of somethings. Read and then read. I like the thread. It sounds like maybe you need to clarify what your purpose is first and foremost, and the rest falls into place. As far as time management, I focus heavily on planning, writing things down, and prioritizing. You really just need to write things down in order to have a plan. Can't stress it enough. Even decisions and clarifying purpose. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Time management, I realized that writing down what you want to complete and a deadline, removing distractions, and just doing it typically works. And when I slack, I refer back to my purpose and re-energize. I 1000% believe in the rule. Can't recall the name that your work speed will actually slow down and speed up to fill whatever deadline you give yourself. I've completed weeks of work in a day when I set a deadline, and vice versa. When it slows down and deadlines are far away, I somehow fill the time almost always. Parents needs to get news jobs if they're working more than 40 hours a week. But they won't. My dad is locked into this as well. It's not your life, so you can't make the choice for them. You focus on what's important and bench all the little stuff. Is it more important to start a business or take a poo? You get my gist. If you don't have kids reread pages 190 and 191 in Oh, and get an electric toothbrush. Wear your boxing gloves whenever you contemplate. You know what? I'm at the beginning of this journey, and I hear you about being puzzled and pretty much about how other people do it. How do you break out of the trap of the scripted life in the slow lane? It can seem like an utter impossibility. 10 months ago, I was working a full-time job that required more than full-time hours, and like your job, it left me fried and useless after my work was done. Also in common, my parents don't have a wealthy mentality, and I also take inordinate amounts of time to do simple things, which is hard for other people to comprehend. Not as much as you, but still, I'm slower than most people at common tasks, even while being academically bright. Anyway, I got fed up with the dead-ended job where I was. I took a risk. I paid a lot of money to become an apprentice to a well-known copywriter. The apprenticeship started with a live event in a different city. I was sitting there at the event, and the copywriter guy started talking about mindset. He pointed out that 90% of the game was winning the mental battle. And he asked the group to list all of our obstacles. People listed all sorts of stuff, but for me, it was lack of time. How was I supposed to have the time and energy to develop this whole new line of work on my own? How did other people manage to do it? How were there enough hours in the day? It just didn't make sense. Work for me was a matter of survival. I couldn't just quit my job. And I don't function well on lack of sleep. Our trainer started addressing all the objections people had listed, and I was still sitting there, my eyes filled with frustrated tears at the impossibility of expanding time. But when he got to that one, he simply asked this: okay, lack of time. Does everyone have 24 hours in the day? Of course we nodded. Then you have enough time. and he crossed off that item from the chart and went on to the next one. I was too choked up at that moment to voice an objection without betraying my emotions, but I've given a lot of thought to that statement over the last 10 months. I've also read, which explores the concept that you have enough time to do everything you really want to do. And I've thought about how kings and presidents still only have 24 hours a day to rule a whole country, and I can't even rule my own life in 24 hours a day. But they get to delegate, and I don't get to delegate because I can't pay anyone yet. So how do I get to the point where I have the available funds to pay other people to do some of the stuff that's on my plate? Obviously, it's not by going the route that my parents or yours took. It requires a different approach, a different mindset, playing by a completely different set of rules. Which is why I'm in this forum. I'm hoping some of this will rub off on me. And it really does require you to get the highest leverage activity possible out of every available minute of your time. Watching NFL? That gives you zero return. If you look back at your nights and weekends, if you're honest with yourself, you have to admit, if I had time to do these things, that says something about what I really want to do with my time. So can you redefine that? Can you put in place the things that will really matter in at least some of that time? For me, choosing copywriting was related to looking around the marketplace, matching my current skills with the available opportunities, and picking the work activity that came with the highest margins. Can you get a bigger reward for a smaller amount of time? A valuable shorthand, once you've picked something with high margins, is, can I produce more? If you're a valuable producer, you'll never struggle with your income. At least, that is the hope. Said by one who is still in the early stages of the journey, still hacking my productivity and addressing my mental roadblocks and confused about all the nuts and bolts. But willing to be patient and keep pressing forward on the journey as hard as humanly possible. Because no offense, but I don't want to end up like your mom. All the best. Now to think of it, to assume that more time will solve the lack of time to do stuff. I was doing some revision for my upcoming exams next week, and I looked at my timetable, and I realized that I just needed to put in 2 to 3 hours a day. I saw some spots to do some networking, go for a local query meetup, yay, and salvage my freelancing May. I think some folks do work late nights because of the solace and the different state of mind your brain sets in during that time. Work in spurts. We naturally wax and wane with creative energy. Save the laborious, repetitive tasks for when you're lowest with creative energy. You're spending extra time with hygiene because it's a subconscious avoidance or prepping for the other work, mainly mental exhaustion and its own form of procrastination. I say that because I see myself taking longer than I need for labor-intensive things like accounting or grocery shopping, etc. It's really a form of mental clearing while doing something productive. We're human. Think of yourself like a battery. You need to be recharged and primed consistently. You do that with diet, sleep, exercise, stretching, meditation, chunked work, Pomodoro-type work. You also drain batteries with things like masturbation, porn, video games, etc. These are dopamine-centered activities. Dopamine is also important for focus, so those things are stealing hormonal resources. When you feel fulfilled by a walk, hike, sitting in the sun for 20 to 25 minutes, etc., then you know you're on a better track. Try Pomodoro blocks at 25-minute and 5-minute break. Then 25-minute and 10-minute break, and 25-minute and 15-minute break. Each break take to stretch, breathe, meditate. This will allow you to work better in your spurts and recharge adequately. What's nice about finding a groove is that the groove tells you what's next in terms of scale, automation, delegation, and recharging. Being relaxes gives you the creative brain to figure out how to grow and scale intelligently. The brute force comes in knowing what you need to do to grow and scale. Form your mental preparation, but driving and grinding until you reach a benchmark before you actually make the switch or take the plunge on that next step or that next higher. Show me a successful person and I'll show you a successful routine around sleep and recharging in one way or another. May sleep 4 to 5 hours but nap 1.5 hours for instance, and it might mean negative habits too that just take 10 to 15 years to catch up in terms of weight gain, health issues, adrenal fatigue, drug or RX addictions or relationship issues. It's your choice. That's the beauty, but there's a way. If you feel out of control, usually it's your health out of whack or it's time to face up to an overhaul or delegation or hiring decision. Boxing gloves? Well, you are no fun at all. Unless. I might have to try that. Electric toothbrush is a good idea though. Mine cuts off in 2 minutes. Although most of the time I go for an extra 2 minutes. How about sending a better reply to Capri his kind offer. Buy a packet of baby bum wipes, they're lots cheaper than adult ones but no different, should clean it a lot quicker. First of all, what's your diet like? Is it standard American diet? Talking about time wasting, when I realize all the things I need to do now I feel guilty every time I watch TV or YouTube for wasting time. These days I try to do something productive like reading a book while eating ect. Not that I always succeed, still a work in progress lol. What you need is UFCK this event. Once that happens, you'll have no mood or desire to brush or floss your teeth for 25 minutes and sit in the toilet for an hour. Paging. Don't be a drive-by. Don't think the boxing gloves have good material for that. You might hurt yourself. The gloves are designed to cushion against blows, not handle skin with care. Here, I am worrying whether I brush my teeth too quickly. Actually, sitting on the toilet bowl too long can be pretty bad for your body. You actually make things worse for the blood vessels in your bum. Hemorrhoids. Sitting in such an unnatural posture forces the blood to concentrate down there. Something tells me it's pizza, tomato sauce and burgers. Or like in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid, 95% chicken nuggets. On a horrific side note, I'm wondering what's going on when the US health authorities actually pass ketchup on pizza as vegetables for school kids. I hope this ain't in force now. Ketchup isn't real tomato stuff. The people who are saying things about diet are onto something. If you're eating the standard American diet, your food is probably not only contributing to your constipation, it's very likely also making your brain foggy. If you clear up your digestion, you'll be amazed how much mental sharpness you can regain. And since your brain is going to be your main tool for earning income for the rest of your life, you'll only accelerate your progress towards your goals with a better diet. One simple change for you, eat 2 prunes a day. One drastic change for you, try the for detoxing your system and supercharging your mental acuity. Diet does play a role. Eat meat, seafood, vegetables, nuts, seeds and oils. Also cardio helps. Try to reduce your time-wasting habits, one step at a time. It's ridiculous to spend 25 cleaning your teeth, start by that. How do you commute to work? Do you take the subway or use a car? Even working full-time, you should be able to afford 3 hours a day and 16 hours during the weekend at least for building your business. Are you committed enough to do so? Don't look for stimulus at places other than yourself. Also in Toronto Midtown or downtown. New in town and looking forward to meet like-minded people. Shoot a PM when you are around. This question has been given a lot of attention, but I'd like to add that even by asking this question you have created another distraction from time spent doing. The biggest hurdle is that most people don't know what doing actually is. So they think they are doing, but they are more likely avoiding doing action faking if they are not following a specific plan, or acting on behalf of a specific target. Once you know what your end outcome needs to be, you just start taking steps towards it until you get there, as fast as you can. In doing this, your time will manage itself. Don't have an end outcome or solution to strive towards. That is your first problem. Without a target to focus behavior towards, you will be unproductive and unfocused. This seems to be the root cause issue for a lot of people. A lot of action in a lot of aimless directions. That's what ultimately makes people quit. My secret: time hacks: no kids, no wife or girlfriend, 2 friends max, no more hobbies, no desire to show off and spend money. I only do things that have a large impact and learn from my mistakes quickly. Sleep in until 10, have a mojito and fry up some fish, and get started whenever. I still get to put in more hours working on my business than most people because I spend 0% of my time on taking care of distractions. Burn everything and start with you and your thoughts. Your attachment is what holds you back. Gotta maintain friendships, gotta maintain your relationship with your girl, gotta maintain your social media presence. All that bullshit is a pair of handcuffs. Subtraction is the secret to productivity. Not addition. Not motivation. Better yet, start at 0 and only add what is necessary. That's the secret to living with purpose. Very true. I was planning on responding to the post but noticed a few things. The op only responded to the first couple of posts. There were no responses acknowledging the time people put into trying to help him. No likes or thanks to the respondents. Nothing back but questions and excuses. Not worthy of all the fast lane participants that took time out of their day to help. And not even smashing that like button. This is so true. Couldn't agree more. That's why most productivity stuff out there is BS. Removing some distractions is great, but becoming a hermit sounds a bit extreme. It's either that, or extreme discipline, or lowering your extreme goals. Yes, gotta get rid of everything that's enjoyable to achieve success. Psyche. 10x happier than I've ever been. You don't need to escape from your work when you're doing what you're supposed to do. I think this isn't a problem about managing time or energy. I think it's more a problem about meaning and purpose. Have you read Unscripted? Because if you spend your free time watching and playing football instead of doing something relevant for your finances, that means you are not motivated enough about going out from your comfort zone. So the first thing you should do is read the chapter 28 of, and find a real motivation. Secondly, and I'm sad about saying this because I'm in the same situation, the unconscious influence of your parents stops you from reacting. If you have the possibility, go living alone. Thirdly, as someone before me said, working 80 to 90 hours a week sounds too much. You could try freelancing, see the threads of, and make a living with much less hours, and so stay concentrated on new opportunities. Lots of good advice. Something I didn't see mentioned is work expands so as to fill the time available for completion. In boot camp, this was overcome by a drill instructor counting down the number of seconds you had to complete a task. As in, you have 15 seconds to get dressed. 15, 14, 13, you have 10 seconds to eat. 10, 9, 8. Some of these sucked. Like having 2 minutes to shit. But on the plus side, what it did was program us to have 2 speeds, balls to the wall and passed out. If you're going to do it fast. Not true for creative work, but anything wrote. How fast can you go? Do less has already been mentioned. There are a ton of things you can do that have absolutely nothing to do with your quality of life or goals. And this ties into what's the one thing you can do such that by doing it everything else will be easy or unnecessary? If your goal is financial independence, do you know what isn't your goal? Anything that gets in the way of that. Top 20-something examples are partying and girlfriends. No, this isn't live like a hermit to succeed. It's focus on what you want until you get it. You will have plenty of time for wine, women and song later. In fact, you may have 100% of your time for wine, women and song. But only if you focus now, on that one thing. If you do it this way, You'll have nothing to do and nobody to spend your time or money with when you get rich. I recently read an idea from and been using it over a week. Short time, yes, but it's been going great. I've copied and pasted the relevant part of his post below. Source, post number 66. A tool I use for my power list is called Trello. I create a card for each day and have 30 plus days of cards made ahead of time. I use these cards as my schedule. If I have an appointment or a sales call coming up, it goes on my power list. If I'm working on a project, I break it into pieces and put those pieces on various power lists. I start each day by opening up Trello and looking to see what I have on the list. I complete everything on there and I move the card to the 2019 folder. I don't worry about what's on the list tomorrow or next week. I don't dwell on the mountain ahead of me. I just focus on what is on my plate today. This breaks the gigantic process of building a multi-million-dollar lifestyle into tiny bite-sized chunks that are easy to swallow. This keeps me from getting overwhelmed and even allows me to enjoy the process. I can look in the 2018 Trello board and see 365 cards with completed power lists. The life I'm enjoying today is a result of the work that is displayed on those cards. With this method, literally anyone can do anything one power list at a time. Thank you Andy Frisler for this awesome podcast. If you want to learn more about this concept, you can listen to the episode here, Trust Your Instruments, with Andy Frisler, MFSHIA 183A. If you are feeling overwhelmed about the mountain of work you see in front of you, try the power list method. I promise it will change your life. Great post with a lot of great ideas. You don't work 80 to 100 just for the sake of working. The hours are put in because you have so much in the hopper that's necessary to provide the value proposition of your business. If you're working 80 to 100, it's usually a conscious decision that it's not quite time to hire an employee, or you know that once you build the widget or the process or the automation with that time, that it's going to save you time later on. The find your passion convo is so tricky because it's a mantra you hear over and over from those who have it, but for those who have not found it yet, it is kinda useless. Passion finds you. You tinker with things. You try new ideas, you jump around opportunities until something grabs you. Usually you find you're good at something through trial and error, and only then do you become passionate about it. Lead with a value proposition. Where in the marketplace can I add efficiency, value, better service, consult with my specific expertise? And then you tinker until something grabs you. The thing that is frustrating about 80 to 100 hours work weeks is if the work is not volitional, because you're scampering to fulfill someone else's deadline, or there's not enough skin in the game for you to care. When it's your own deadline, and your own project, where you reap the majority of the rewards for its completion, it's a much different application of energy. So you want to choose opportunities that allow for the probability of success. This is paramount to chaos theory and detailed essentially in there. When faced with two choices, choose the one with the higher probability of the outcome you want long term. If there's a choice between two jobs that average 50K a year, and one is commissioned and the other is salary, you take the commission every time because you are in control of being above the average mark. If you're in sales, you absolutely want a full commission model, because when you figure out your own systems and automation, you'll discover how to scale it and teach it for your own idea at higher commission or return on value provided, and you won't mind putting in 40 hours of the commission gig to pay your bills, while building out the scalable, better probability exposure idea at 20 to 40 hours over the nights or weekends. At the very least, there's a measurable return on the extra work with full commission model, whereas an hourly, or end-of-year bonus models are more based on someone else's opinion or someone else's business management skills rather than your own hard and fast results.